Hi, and welcome to Tutorial 10, Database Transfer, Backup, and Maintenance. This tutorial will show you how to transfer all your NittanyCow data between computers, how to back up and restore your database, and how to perform routine maintenance on the database to ensure optimum operating speed. As you view this tutorial, you may want to pause the video so that you can follow along on your computer, and you can always watch this tutorial again until you are comfortable with the topics that are covered. For more information on anything you see here, please visit our website, www.NittanyCow.com. Often, users want to transfer all the information in NittanyCow from one computer to the other, rather than just transferring rations or catalogs of rations. For example, you may use a laptop in the field and a desktop computer in your home or office. If you make changes to rations or customize feeds in the field on the laptop, you can use the database transfer feature to move this information to your desktop, rather than making the changes again when you get back to the office. As with ration transfer, we will first export the database on one computer, then import the database on another computer. Be careful. Importing a database into NittanyCow will overwrite the existing data on that computer, so make sure to back up the existing database before importing another database. Otherwise, the existing data will be lost forever when you import the new database. To back up your NittanyCow database, go to Utilities in the main menu and select Backup Database. If you have a large number of rations and feeds, this may take a minute or so, but NittanyCow will notify you when it has been done. Please wait for this notification before continuing on with other functions. Once you have created the database backup, you can store a copy on a backup hard drive by going to the My NittanyCow folder in Documents on the hard drive. Then open the Backups folder and select Database. Here you will find the backup file ending with .ncb. The last 4 digits in the first series of numbers indicate the date that backup was created, and you can create multiple backups. Simply copy and paste the desired backup file to the backup hard drive to ensure no data is permanently lost. Be sure not to delete the backup file from this folder, as NittanyCow will use this file to restore your database if necessary. If you discover that you made a mistake while transferring databases, or you want to restore your previous database for any other reason, go to the Utilities menu and select Restore Database. NittanyCow will now display any available databases that are in the Backups folder, along with the date that the backup was created. Highlight the desired backup and click Import. If you have a large number of rations or feeds in your database, this may take a few minutes. If you see Not Responding at the top of the screen, simply walk away from your computer for 5 minutes to allow NittanyCow to complete the process. Avoid doing other things on your computer until this process is complete, as this will slow down the database restoration. When the database has been restored, you will be notified by NittanyCow, and you can continue with other NittanyCow functions. Now that we have seen how to back up the database, we will now export the database for transfer to another computer. Go to Utilities in the main menu and select Export Database. NittanyCow will now ask you to select the data you want to export. Any data that is not included in the export file will not be overwritten when you import the database into another NittanyCow program. Once you have selected the appropriate data to export, click Export. NittanyCow will now ask you to name the file and select the location where the file is to be saved. Once you have done this, click Save. NittanyCow will notify you when the export process is complete. This file can now be transferred to another computer by using a flash drive or via email. If you want to send the database in an email, it's best to zip the database file before attaching the file to the email, as these files are typically pretty large and may not transmit in the unzipped format. Now let us suppose that we want to import a database that was transferred from another computer. Again, remember to back up your existing database before importing the new database, or you will risk losing valuable data permanently. To import the database, go to the Utilities menu and select the Import Database option. NittanyCow will now ask you to select the database file you wish to import. Locate the appropriate database file, highlight it with a single click, and then select Import. NittanyCow will warn you that the imported data will replace all existing data. If you have backed up the database, click Yes to proceed. You can click No to cancel this process and return to the home screen to back up your database if you had forgotten to do so earlier. As with the Backup Restore function, the import process may take a few minutes, depending on the amount of data being imported. NittanyCow will notify you when the import process is complete, and you can now carry on with other NittanyCow functions. If you discover that you made a mistake or lost valuable data when you imported the database, you can always recover your previous database by using the database restore command in Utilities, provided you backed up the database prior to the import process. Finally, let's talk about a few ways you can perform maintenance on the database to maintain sufficient operating speed. Over time, as data is created, deleted, and moved, and as the list of lab samples and customized feeds grows, NittanyCow may slow down. To avoid this, it's a good idea to perform some routine maintenance about once a month or so. To do this, first we will need to delete any outdated lab samples or customized feeds that are no longer needed. Go to Manage Feeds in the main menu, then select the appropriate feed list. In this example, we will delete some lab samples that have already been applied to rations and are no longer needed. To delete a lab sample, highlight the sample with a single click, then go to the Feeds menu and select the Delete Selected Feed option. NittanyCow will ask you to verify this action, so click Yes to permanently delete the feed. Remember, if you make a mistake here, you can always recover the data by restoring to a database backup. If you are confident that you have applied all your lab samples, you can select the Clear Lab Samples option to remove all existing lab samples from the database, rather than deleting lab samples one at a time. You can specify the list of samples to be cleared by selecting the appropriate client from the drop-down box. The Clear Lab Samples function will only delete the samples displayed, but the other lab samples will remain intact. When you have finished deleting all outdated samples, click Save and then Exit to return to the home screen. Repeat the same process to eliminate any outdated user or mill feeds as well. Once you have deleted any unnecessary feeds or samples from the various lists, the final step will be to use the database cleanup function. To do this, go to the Utilities menu and select Cleanup Database. NittanyCow will now take a moment to make some internal changes that will improve the operating speed of NittanyCow. This concludes Tutorial 10. For more information, please consult the NittanyCow help file and other NittanyCow tutorials, or contact NittanyCow customer support to ask more questions.